fighting for? Why can't people help people? That's the question.
Oh my God, it's people helping people!
Tonight's episode of People Helping People Live is sponsored by Mike Silkowski. He's your local partner in getting your message in front of the right people. Mike specializes in helping businesses right here in Southern Arizona reach their ideal customers through TV and streaming services. He's not just sponsoring this chapter 3 of People Helping People, he's building partnerships, and he doesn't succeed unless you do. If you're ready to grow your business with someone who's invested in your success, call Mike at 515-305-5311. Again, that's 515-305-5311. This episode of People Helping People Live is sponsored by T-Town Boxing, Tucson's home for boxing, kickboxing, and recovery classes for all ages. From kids to adults, beginners to experienced fighters, T-Town Boxing offers a space to grow, train, and challenge yourself. So if you're ready to push your limits and join an amazing community, reach out to T-Town Boxing on Instagram at instagram.com/T-Town-Boxing or their website, boxingtucson.com. Again, that's instagram.com/T-Town-Boxing or their website, boxingtucson.com. This episode is sponsored by the Diabetes Network of Arizona, a community built by people living with type 1 diabetes for people living with type 1 diabetes. They host Arizona's only family camp for type 1 diabetics, giving kids and family a place to connect, learn, and feel understood. Every dollar raised stays right here in Arizona, helping local families get the care and supplies that they need. No one should ever face diabetes alone, and with your help, they don't have to. You can make a difference today by clicking the donation link in the description. The Diabetes Network of Arizona, building a stronger, healthier Arizona together. Let's get back into the episode.
We were muted. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another amazing episode of People Helping People. Come on, man. Oh, it feels good to be back. Holy smokes. And, if it's your first time joining us, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. This is People Helping People, and it is a live podcast, meaning you get to be involved. If you have questions, you have comments, you have feedback, just let us know in the comment box there. And we'll get to everybody's comments during the show. As permitted. I don't like to pull away from a conversation if it's real good when the comments are there, but we still do like to acknowledge everybody that is here. So I want to thank everybody for joining us for tonight's show. And thank you to everybody that has come back. Thank you to our community. You guys are amazing, and I appreciate all of your support and showing up every single episode and being along for the journey. So this one's for you guys. What a ride it has been. And I see our guest over there. So I see you over there. We can't hear you. We can't see you yet, but I will introduce you before we bring you in. We have an extremely exciting episode for you guys tonight, and an extremely exciting lineup. Jeez Louise, do we have an exciting lineup. If you guys missed my last episode on Monday, I just gave you guys a full breakdown of everything that's going on, breakdown of lessons that we've learned along the way. And I think having this show has been so much more about me just becoming a more vulnerable human being, right? And allowing people into my life, allowing people to watch me fail and learn lessons live with an audience. And I hope that it is inspiring to anybody to just go try new things. You don't know what your avenue or lane may be until you try it. Give it your best effort. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But, with everything that I've tried over the years, I've sank into something, and that is here at People Helping People. And thank you to you guys for being here to support. Yeah. Let's get into some comments before we bring our guest on the show here. Oh, you know what? Gosh, she popped back out. That's okay. No worries. She might be having some connection issues. But the one, the only, he is a People Helping People alum. Your boy B is in the house. We see you out there, your boy. I hope you're doing good, brother. And we chatted a little bit in the comments over there before we got started. And you know what, Rich? I see you too, bro. Glad you're here, man. I hope you're having a great evening. He says, good evening, all. Good evening, Rich. And because Rich is here, and he always reminds me, so thank you for this one, Rich. If it's your first time joining us, please make sure that you're watching us on YouTube. It is the best place to help support. And leave us a thumbs up. So if you're watching right now, go hit the thumbs up on YouTube. Show us some love. It doesn't cost anything and it doesn't bite hard. So in any event, we got Rich out there. So thank you, Rich, for always reminding myself in the community to like these things. And I'm getting better at it. Look, every time I see your name, Rich, I'm like, oh yeah, Rich would tell me to remind people to subscribe and like the show. So I appreciate you. Rich says he's doing good. Thanks for asking. Good. It's great to see you. Let's see. Rich and, Amanda's in here too. Amanda Cardenas. Another legend. Gosh, I love to see Amanda in here. We raised money for kids with type 1 diabetes because of Amanda to go to a type 1 diabetic camp. So we have to just give her flowers every chance that we get. So flowers to you, Amanda. And I don't know if you heard, but I'm going to be the first hub here in Tucson to, I think our guest popped back in. Fantastic. Okay, give us just a moment. I'll introduce you and we'll have you on. But I will be the first hub here in Tucson to be carrying diabetic supplies for people. So there's a bunch of those in Phoenix right now. And there's more people that need diabetic supplies. It's not just Phoenix that needs them. And so Tara, the owner of the Diabetes Network of Arizona, is going to be sending me a bunch of donated supplies, and I'm going to be able to help you guys out. So if you're a diabetic in the area or know somebody that is, if you run out of supplies, call me. And it's a no questions asked policy. Just give me a call and I'll have that stuff ready for you. So we're really excited about that, and all credit goes to Amanda. All right, let's see. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we have an incredible show for you guys this evening. I'm very excited to have this guest on because of her life story. It's really incredible. She reached out to me, and I'm so glad that she did. But she is the epitome of somebody who has turned pain into purpose, and through her own life experiences, utilized what she had gone through to blaze a trail and to help others. And gosh, I mean, these types of conversations to me are so enlightening, not only for myself, but for my audience. And so without further ado, she's patiently waiting over there. Without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Julie Barth.
Hi.
Hello, welcome to the show.
Hi. Yeah, it took me a little getting here, but I'm here.
It's okay. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good. How are you? Yeah.
I'm so good. Life is
Yeah.
great. Well, I'm really excited for you to be on the show. You wear so many hats, and I feel like I just barely scraped or touched the surface of all of the things that you do. So for the people that don't know, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Julie Barth, and I'm an author, the mother of six, which is probably my biggest job. And I'm the CEO and founder of a charity called the CJB, or Colin James Barth Outreach.
Very nice. Yeah, and I want to dive into all of that because, as you said, I mean, a mother of six, yeah, you're juggling, constantly juggling.
No, not at all. Says the woman that ran in like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, how do you keep balance in your life?
I guess I don't. I don't expect balance though. You can keep it if you don't have high expectations for it. So
Nice. Well, beautiful. I want to dive a little bit into your story. From what I understand, you are an author and you had this incredible life story that led you to becoming an author and wanting to advocate for certain things. And so I'd like to talk a little bit about how that was inspired to start writing.
um my first book, I wasn't a writer at the time, but I had married my grammar school sweetheart. Like he was my first kiss. And although, we parted ways when we met back up after college, it was like, when you find your best friend and you're like, you don't realize what you did before them. And that was kind of always us in our story. And we decided we had our son and decided to move back to the same suburbs that we kind of grew up in. And when we got there, I wanted a huge family. So we, we had a couple miscarriages, and then I got pregnant with my daughter, who's our second child. And she has something called primordial dwarfism. And we didn't find out really until she was 3 or 4 years old, because it was back in 2001. And, it's funny how much difference 25 years can make, because we had no idea what she had. And, social media, it's funny, you can get on there and someone will say symptoms and you could be like, oh, I have that too. But there was no community like that. So we traveled around the United States trying to figure out why she wouldn't grow. And there was a lot of medical malpractice. And the good news is that we had her airway reconstructed and she was doing much better. And we added 2 more children to our brood. And when my youngest was 6 months and my oldest was 10, my husband, who worked down at the Chicago Board of Trade, just, men go to the doctor if they go to the doctor. I think that the medical profession kind of dismisses them and says, like, you're fine, you're fine. And after about 3 months or more, being back and forth, I said, no, just go to the hospital, figure out what's going on. We had this huge party that, everyone was coming to. And he was at the hospital, and with, I think, 3 or 4 hours, I was called there and told that he had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Mm. At that time, they said, take him home, let him say goodbye to his children. And I didn't. I was determined to keep him here. So I would take him down to chemo on Tuesdays. And he was so sick at the time that he didn't really want me to move around. I had a BlackBerry and, the little clicks on it. And I started writing. I don't know what impulsed me. I just started writing Tatum's story. It was like I had to unpack everything. It was 4 years of, taking her in for like a cold. And the next thing I know, she's like flatlining. So I kind of was unpacking all that. And I also wanted to write our story because realistically, although I wasn't accepting of it, I kind of knew that he probably wouldn't be around to see his children grow up and they wouldn't get to know him. So as I was writing the story, I was emailing it back to myself. And at the end of it, I just pieced it all together. And it sat on my laptop for 12 years while I went, we lost him in 2009. And it was too painful. Thank you. So I just, shut my computer and didn't open again really it was like a time capsule for about 12 years. So.
What was it that made you decide to reignite everything that you had written and put it out into the world?
After I lost him, I was juggling 4 little kids and him, and necessarily so. I think I was just on survival mode, like go, go, go. And when he passed away, I didn't want to stop. I felt like I had kind of lost a decade of my life. So I ended up meeting someone who was working on my house. And at the time, he was exactly what I thought I needed. He didn't really care how I was feeling, really care about me at all. But he was the opposite of me. He was insightful, and not in like, insightful, like he loved to incite people. He didn't care what people thought of him. And after literally living in a fishbowl for probably a decade, it was very alluring to me that you could just do whatever you want. You don't have to worry about what people think of you. And so I ended up um, getting married to him and moving away and having two more children with him. After we moved far away, I left my family away, at home, all my childhood friends, everything. I kind of just picked up and left. I couldn't sit in it anymore because just when everyone else had started to grieve, I had already spent 16 months of watching a little piece of him go every day.
Mm.
But we got to Charlotte, is where we moved, and my daughter with the special needs, who was doing well, was diagnosed with a rare form of connective tissue cancer, completely unrelated to birth. And it was during that time that I recognized that I was truly all alone. I was up on this mountain raising 6 kids on my own, and just trying to get from day to day. So after about a decade of some really horrible emotional abuse and just, for whatever the 10 years before that was, the next 10 years of my life are really the ones that, robbed my joy more than anything. So coming out of that situation, I sat back and I really needed to like try and figure out who I really was, because I had left Julie Barth, behind, and thought I could just start over, and I'd become somebody I didn't recognize. I wasn't acting like myself. I was, really just a shell. So I opened my computer back up, and at that point I was writing, that was my career. And I never meant to release. That's what I did. After, like, when I wrote it, I wasn't right. I wrote a lot more like HVAC, internet stuff,
Okay.
a lot of college, really whatever someone would pay me to write. But it wasn't, it was my passion, but I wasn't doing what I really like to do. So when I read it over, I gave it to a couple other people, and I just had this feeling when Colin was dying. I said to him that like something good was something meaningful had to come from losing him and all of his suffering. So after reading it, I just felt like I had to be true to the promise I made to him. And, just the book is, first of all, it's like filled with all the resilience of Tatum and Colin and all they went through. That is unimaginable. Like, I read it and I'm like, I forgot about it. And the second part is that as a caregiver, I'm reading from the outside. So I'm now on the outside looking in. And I wish I had given myself a little more grace, and recognize that, in impossible circumstances, you do impossible things. And I guess, like, I hope that there was a community out there that if they know of somebody who's going through it, or they themselves is going through that kind of emotional loneliness and isolation, that it will help them remember that, they're not alone. So I did decide to release that book and wrote 2 more. And then I opened the charity, and here I am.
Very nice. Gosh, I mean, I'm so glad that you at least found a way to get that off of your plate. And I love what you said there about giving yourself some grace, because I feel as though, gosh, when you're in the weeds and you're out there taking on the jellies by yourself, it's really hard to see how much you're actually accomplishing and all of the things that you are taking care of, which for a normal person would be more than they could possibly handle. So I think that that's really important for a lot of people to like zoom out and give yourself a little love, pat yourself on the back for a second. And,
Yeah.
I was just having this discussion with my girlfriend the other day, because it just feels like sometimes with business and things like that, like you're really trudging through the mud. It can be so tough. It's so hard to feel the wins when you're just, there's micro losses and micro wins throughout the day. But when you look at where you came from to where you are now, and you zoom out and see everything for what it is, and just take a second to just feel that appreciation and gratitude, and give yourself a little grace for those hard times when you just got to curl up in a ball, because they're going to be there.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. So with the first book that you had written, who exactly would you want to have reading that book? Like, who is that pertaining to?
I think that, so many, primarily women, not that I'm excluding men, but, women sometimes are in this impossible position where, we're caregiving for our kids and our parents at the same time. And we just feel like it's our responsibility to hold the world up. But at the same time, there's so many demands placed on us that we never feel like we're present and where we should be. If I was with Colin, I felt like I was leaving the kids out, the kids. And so, I think the audience for this, as I said, is like somebody who is going through it themselves. And, self-help books are fantastic. And, I've read my fair share of them, but there's something to be said about, not somebody giving you advice about what you should be doing and rather reading about somebody in the same position as you, because it's like you feel it through them. And when you feel it secondhand, it kind of softens the blow a little bit. Also, like I said, it's such a complex thing when you're a caregiver because you start, everyone else's world is spinning and yours isn't. And, so you stop talking to people and then people think, oh, I don't want to bother them. So then they pull back. And the more they pull back, then you're left to your own device. And even if you do get out, it's like, you don't want to tell people how horrible it is because here you are like able to be out and try and be yourself again. So you hide so much of the pain that you're going through and feel so alone in it. So, if I had, I don't know if that would have been the appropriate time to read it when I was going through it, but definitely just knowing, that somebody else is struggling out there and that you're not alone, I think, it puts a lot of, I don't know, when I'm reading about someone else's story and somehow it touches me in a different way than my own, I recognize that not only am I not the only one going through it, there's people out there that are way worse off than me. And not that, that's your guys, but it is, every day that I have a bad day, I'll run into somebody who's even more unfortunate than me and think, my day's pretty darn good. So.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that there with self-help books and things like that, because I've read my fair share and I have a few that I could just sit here and spout off and recommend to everybody that kind of are all encompassing. But I like that your experience is pertaining to a specific group of people. And I'd like to know about your writing style because I feel as though everybody learns, or even though maybe we are here speaking English, there's different types of languages, whether you are an emotional person, a analytical individual, but there's these different types of learning. And what type of information do you put into the book? Who do you think would best resonate with the things that you're saying?
I think I'm very emotional and very empathetic. And I think that I tend to feel things intensely. So I almost feel as if, sometimes when I talk to people, they're feeling, the surface of what I'm trying to communicate. But I have this way to like relate it to something that touches you. So it brings, I think there's so many messages out there now and think people are so quick and, everything is so surface. My writing tends to be very deep and, I wouldn't say I'm hard on myself. I'm not going to lie, but I'm also very true and honest to the experience itself. I know that there's some people that read it and they they write me and they're like out of the blue and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm on chapter 15 and 16 and I can't put it down. And then they like just disappear. And, I'll reach back out to them and I'll say like, where did you go? What happened? And, I think it is, again, it's a heavy book. I hope that people take from it, good lessons. It's a quick read, but if I will put an alert out there, it's very raw. It's my, true experience as I'm walking through it. People have said that they feel as if they're sitting right next to me as I'm describing, the room, the sounds, everything. It's like I'm catapulting them right to where I am and, kind of unloading the gravity of what I'm feeling onto them.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. And for anybody that would like to pick up a copy of your book, I left in the description. Sorry, I'm getting tongue tied here. In the description down below, I left all of her links. So if you'd like to check out her website, and there's other things that we're going to discuss here in the future too, which I'm excited about. But on the vein of being an author, so you had the first book that came out. Then did the second book, was that inspired by the first, or did you kind of veer off into something else? Is it a sequel of your life, or where did the
It's
inspiration
part two. Yeah. After reading the first book, I got to the end, and as crazy as that was, and anybody who's read it will understand when I say that, I got to the end and I thought, oh, crazy didn't even start yet. So, the second book is a continuation. It goes into when we moved and Tatum having cancer and really getting in and getting out of the situation I was in. So, I will say that where the first book, like I said, was very authentic, very raw. I didn't hold anything back. I really never meant for anybody to read it. The second book, I had the same editor, and I got to the end of writing it and, put it away in a nice little package. And then I went back to my editor and I said, I don't think I was as honest in the second book as I was in the first. And he agreed with me. And so I did go back and I rewrote sections of it because it's not where I think people identify with the first book and think I'm like the hero. The second book, I'm making conscious decisions that, it's taken me many years to overcome, the shame and the guilt of making stupid mistakes or feeling as if you're at fault, when things go wrong. So I did go back and added the ugly parts that I really didn't, feel good about making public. But I thought to myself, if I'm going to do it, my mission is really to help people get out of the situation that I was in, which is such a complex and mind-numbing place. So if I really wanted to pull people from the depths of it, I had to show the depths of my own feelings in it. So that's the second book. I'm almost done with the third book, which is more of a self-help unpacking. So you will get it.
Yeah.
Just, you're getting the many versions of me first.
No, I think that's great. I think it's incredible to have that vulnerability. And Amanda Cardenas is in here. We had an at-length conversation about that. Both of us are type 1 diabetics. And, what she had said in the interview that we had is that vulnerability is a superpower. To be able to give people permission to be vulnerable and understand, like you said, that they're not alone in this world. People think that these thought patterns, these negative feelings, they're all theirs and nobody else is experiencing that too. And then there's this this demotivation or self-hatred or things that come from that. And sometimes just hearing from other people like, wait a minute. You do that
You
too?
got that
That's
too.
the thing? Like, I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
And then hearing how others work through that. And again, it has to do with our languages and our mindsets as well on how to get out of that. So if somebody is resonating with what you're saying, the emotional side of things, reading into that and saying, well, I mean, that's how I operate too. I can see how that connection would be incredible. And then kind of parlaying that into another book where it's a lot more vulnerable and giving people the tools, and then into the third book, which you're writing now, and is, like you said, it's more of a self-help. So are you giving tools like, hey, now that we're through the first two, we've come this far, here's the things I would have implemented, or these are the things that I'm implementing moving forward?
I'm kind of breaking it down into topics, that I discuss in the book, and the one that you just spoke of, like our inside voice. I was just talking to someone on the phone today. Someone very important to me lost their dad, and he was talking, and he said something, and I said, "It's okay that you're thinking about like how you can pay some of your debt off," and he was just like, what? And I said, those are like, that is what we all do. Like, you feel so bad for being like, oh, wait, there's probably going to be some money to, it somehow makes you feel like you love them less or cared about them less, to think about a positive at such a negative time.
Mm.
But that's the way the brain works. We all think like you have to find a silver lining, and that is okay. It's not a bad trait. Like his dad who passed away would love that he was sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I can pay off my credit card. Like that is what human beings would want. But somehow we hold that back from ourselves, and we don't want to think it, but it pops into our brain, and then we're instantly shaming ourselves. Like, I can't believe I think that, like I used to wish that Colin wasn't here anymore because there was so much suffering. And that was the part too of me not liking myself after he passed, because when he passed, I was like, how could I ever wish that he wasn't here? And although rationally it makes sense, he was suffering, it still felt so wrong. And although no one else heard me say it, I heard me say it, and I held myself accountable for it.
Mm.
So it's just those kind of issues, like, listening to your inside voice, and respecting it and understanding that everybody thinks the same way, and it's not, if it were so bad, we wouldn't all be thinking it. And, that conscious collective that we all have. But we all like hide that part. And when we hide it, it just makes everybody else feel alone too. I'm sure that it was uncomfortable for me to say, it's okay that you're excited that you get to pay off debt. But those are the type of things that we have to share with other people so that they feel less alone in their feelings.
It's so interesting that you brought that up. Thank you for sharing that, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But that topic, it sparked something in me that recently has changed. There's been this pivot in my mindset, because anytime that my parents would go on a trip when I was younger, they would always talk about their wills before they go. Let's talk about the work. And I'm like, hold on, you guys are going to, like, I'm not going to be involved in this conversation, right? Like,
Yeah.
she would tell me how to go about handling things. Well, this needs to happen here and this needs to happen there. And I'm like, whoa, no, you guys aren't dying. This isn't, no.
Right.
Like, go
right.
have fun.
You almost feel like you're cursing it, like, don't say that you're cursing it.
Yeah, don't speak this into existence right now.
Right.
But as I've gotten older, I've realized that there are things that I want to leave for my niece and nephew and my little sister and my family. It's all of the work that I've put in over the years. I hope that it will be something that will be seen for generations to come. So now that I've gotten to that point and seen those little bright lights in my life, I understand. So now when we have those conversations with my parents, I realize that it is out of a place of love, and they want to make sure that not only that we understand, but these things are in place properly. So I think that, like you said, there is no amount of regret from having those conversations with my parents now. It's preparation, and they want their kids to prosper based on their life's work. They don't just want it to go to the state or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah.
So I think prior, maybe I would have carried some guilt if those moments had come to fruition. But now that we've had these conversations and I have a little bit more understanding and I'm growing older, and it's like, okay, I get it now. Like,
Yeah.
it is important.
Yeah. Something good should come of your legacy. And, that's just one little part of it. But yeah, it's those uncomfortable conversations. It's kind of like everyone picks their nose, whatever, but we all like, nobody wants to, you don't want anyone to know you do it. And emotions shouldn't, emotions like sharing that with your child shouldn't be uncomfortable. I used to write my kids little notes, when I would go on vacation. I would hide them. In fact, I think there's a whole book of them upstairs. I lost my dad, very suddenly. And I never, you say, I love you, but I also know a lot of people that are like, oh, our last conversation, or, they never. And so I never wanted my children to be left hanging, like if anything should happen to me, that it was there, it was in writing. So they never questioned, but I do take it a little too far. So
It's okay.
hopefully they'll never find them unless they really have to, and I won't be here to have to explain it.
We have a bunch of people in the chat right now that, there's some people out there that are giving you your flowers. And And Amanda, she is a People Helping People alum. She says, "Welcome to People Helping People fam. You must be you must do amazing things to have made it on here," with a bunch of hearts.
Oh, thank
And
you.
thank you for that, Amanda, on both our behalves here. Your boy B is out there. He says, "You're so strong to endure what you have. What an inspiration," with some clapping emojis. Your boy B also has a question for you. He says, "We all cope with the loss of a loved one in our own ways." He says, "How did you cope?"
It's a good question because I didn't right away. I think everybody says like, don't make any quick decisions, like wait a year. I think that I probably could have waited 20 years. I didn't cope very well at all because I didn't want to. That book called The Stages of Death, or, the grieving stages. It was actually a book that was, I don't know if people know this, but it was a book that was written for the terminally ill patient to come to terms with the fact that they're going to pass. For a caregiver, it's like you go through all those stages with the person who's dying, and then you have to start all over again. And I'm a person where I had to, for 10 years, just like, it's okay, dance and make everything okay and pretend nothing, the house is on fire. And I was like, don't look over there, because I felt like it was my responsibility to keep my kids happy, keep their childhoods normal. I didn't. And I think that's why I got into my second relationship, because I was like, oh, I'm just gonna start all over and forget that happened, and it's fine. And if you don't, really take the time to process how you feel, because I didn't realize I had survivor's guilt. I didn't realize that I felt guilty. And so getting into the second relationship, when he was really like mean to me and said really horrible things to me, I felt like I deserved it, because that's how I was feeling about myself. So yes, everyone copes differently. And I think, unfortunately, when you are going through something, it's almost like you feel as if people are watching you to see if you're sad enough, or to see if you cry enough, or to see, it's almost like you're putting on a show for other people, because you wouldn't want them to get the wrong impression. Well, and that's my experience. Like, I didn't want them to get the wrong impression.
It
But no
almost
matter what I did,
it hurts to be happy, because you think that they're watching you be happy, and that's the wrong thing to feel at that time.
yeah. So you pull back from everything. I was, again, my friend whose dad just died, I said to him, unfortunately, this next 7 days are going to be mixed with the best memories of your life combined with the worst, because you get together with siblings, and you are able to take the best essence of that person. But with all that goodness comes a sadness. So you're constantly like back and forth. And I think I was just too exhausted from being so sad that I just shelved it and unpacked it 10 years later when I had to.
Great question, your boy B, and very poignant answer. Thank you for that. Your boy B also says, "I went through the same stages of grieving, losing my mom. It's taken years to cope, so I can relate." It's so tough. I want to say sorry for your loss, your boy
Yeah,
B.
definitely.
And it's, and everybody has their own time frames and their own ways. And I think you said something really important too, though, is just like allowing yourself to feel those emotions. We as men hold a shield sometimes. We're supposed to be strong and never break down, and lead the charge. When,
Yeah.
come on, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like, just
Yeah.
feel
And
for
it's
them.
hard feeling like you're holding up the world, because you can't feel for yourself when you're feeling for everybody else.
Well said. Well said. Well, thank you for that question, your boy B. We appreciate you. But let's go ahead and pivot, because you have an incredible nonprofit as
I do.
well. Yes. So let's talk about that. Let's break that down.
Okay, I'll try. We're really in our infancy. It started in last year, at the end of last year. And so I've been the special needs mom who's not been able to get, needed vaccines that could have saved Tatum's life because I didn't have money. I've been, the caregiver to a very young husband. I've been the widow. I've been the divorcee. I've been in all these situations where, as a mom, you're suddenly, if you're not the breadwinner to begin with, and sometimes even if you are, you're thrust into this position to be it for everybody. What I found was, it's especially unfortunate for stay-at-home moms, people that only had a part-time position, that because caregivers, as moms, it necessarily has to be half of your time. So you career oriented is it's hard. So when you're thrust into that position, all of a sudden you have to pay for everything. You go to get a job and they're like, what have you been doing for 10 years? As if you've just been living in a bubble. Where's your work experience? And you don't have any. So then you get a minimum wage job and that doesn't pay the bills and you have to work more. And then you never see your kids at a time when they need you the most. So, that's the scenario where, we know that it takes the average woman 10 years to bounce back from a divorce. The standard of living for a woman goes down 44% and the average man's goes down 10%. Again, I'm not, I'm talking about systematically. I'm not blaming or, shaming anyone. I'm just saying that this is the way that our system works. So when I first started the charity, what I wanted to do was give out mortgages. I wanted to give out I had this list. But what I quickly found was that there are organizations out there that will help you outside of the government who is like, wait until you have nothing, then come back.
Yeah.
But the problem is when you hit crisis, the last thing you have time to do is sit back and be like, oh, what am I eligible for? And look for little charities and these little, I even found a charity that will take your dog while you're in transition and then foster it and get. So when you hit crisis, you don't even know what you need and you don't know how to tackle it. So it's so overwhelming and most women slip into poverty. So what we're doing right now is we're building databases of these we're trying to get a lay in South Carolina of the land to find out where these organizations are at, what the requirements are, what they provide. We're building databases so that when you come to us, we want to act like a concierge service. And we want to say, okay, what is your situation? We want to say, this is what you need. Call this person, this person, this person. And for anything else, if they cannot find it anywhere else, we want to be that bridge to help. But what we really found is just literally having somebody sit you down who's not going to charge you $20 for an email and say, this is what you need, is more valuable than anything in the world. And I get the idea for the charity after I started because my daughter, who is a sophomore in college, one of the smartest women I've ever known, everyone else was looking for the full ride. Everyone wants that full ride. What she did was she took like $2,000 here, $2,000 here. And by the time she was done, she actually got a refund with a full ride. It was so much more work, but it's doable. And so I thought, well, what if we could do that for charities the way that, you can do that with a scholarship. And so that's what the board members and I are working on, is building this database and, trying it out in South Carolina. And our hope is to extrapolate it to the rest of the United States.
Wow. Hold on a minute. There it is. The crowd is going wild.
Thanks.
I love that. What a unique idea. And it's so unreal that you just mentioned that. It was like an aha moment for me because, yeah, you're a mother for X amount of years going out to find work and you don't have experience in these specific workplaces.
No, you've done more than anybody,
I was
but
just
you
gonna
have
say,
nothing to show for it,
yes, yes. I was just gonna say is that I feel as though being a mother, you have so many talents at the end of 10 years of being a mother that there are avenues for you. There are places for you to succeed, and there are jobs that would just be head over heels. So lucky to have somebody that's been a solid mother for 10 years, right? But to find those places, I think, is like finding a needle in a haystack. It'd be so hard. Where do you begin and who do you talk to? So,
I don't know. And then you add AI and we're done, because no human is even looking at your resume. So you right out the gate are being, shuffled off to, oh, no work experience. You might as well, you can't just go in anywhere and talk to someone and say, I really want this. Everyone's like, fill it out online and send us your resume. And yeah, we've lost that ability to really look at a human for really what they're worth rather than what they present on paper.
It's interesting you say that. I think that yes, I agree with you on some fronts of that. I am still very old school. I pick up the phone and advocate for my podcast as if I'm in the 1930s. I'm just
And
like,
it's
yeah, there's
working
a,
though.
right. But I
Yeah.
mean, there is something to be said about that. But I love the idea of having a centralized hub that people can reach out to that may not have the old school mentality that I have, where I'm literally on the streets walking into businesses and saying, who's this business owner and how can we get involved? I love what you do. These types of interactions are becoming less and less as we continue to move forward. So to be able to have a hub like that to call and at least have X amount of outlets for people to get a leg up, get some help.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that if they're out there looking for work, it's an absolute necessity.
Yeah, and you don't have time, and you don't know these things until you're there, but like just to get a lawyer, you have to write them a 25 to $100 check. Now that's, for many people that's 3 months rent, 3 months mortgage on top of, I think there's this illusion that women are lucky because we get the house and we get the kids. Well, we also get the bills of a house and kids.
Mm.
Yes, there's child support and alimony, but you're splitting one into two. And all of a sudden, I remember I didn't even know where like the shut off to the water was. And, those are things that you take for granted and you don't know until you hit it. And then you're just like so overwhelmed. I just remember being like, I stayed in my marriage because the thought of trying to do all of those things and make sure that my children were stable outside of a marriage was too scary.
That's
I
right.
didn't see that the threat was really inside my home.
Mm.
I felt it from the outside, and that is what I want to save other people from, because being stuck in a life like that, first of all, you're causing generational, children learn what they live. And even though, if you grow up with something that's uncomfortable,
Oh,
becomes
hopefully.
something you seek as an adult because you can. So we're hoping to change a lot of those situations, because there's no mother that wants to be in that position.
Thinking we're having some Wi-Fi issues here. Let's see if she comes back. Looks like we lost her. Hold on. We'll give it a second. How cool is that? Gosh. I think it's really interesting to have a hub like that for people that are in need. And she's niched down too, which I think is really important for anybody that's watching. If you're starting a business or considering doing something like that, yeah, I think we lost her. We'll wait a little bit. I'll put her off to the side. But yeah, sometimes when we're live, this is how it goes down. I'm going to continue to look down at her screen. And if she can hear me, just give me a wave and we'll bring you back on. But I left all of her links down below. Super inspiring. Gosh, I mean, it's so tragic that so many people go through situations like that. And I think that a lot of people don't understand the wisdom that they carry because of those situations, because of those stories. So I always love to hear when people put that out into the world, whether it be just them talking about the wisdom itself or really putting their experiences on paper and letting people into their lives, their psyche, their mentality, going through that and seeing if they can be helped. So my hat's off to you, Julie. I appreciate you. And I wish, let's see, is she still froze? Yeah, she still froze. Okay. Dang. Well, again, I left all of her links in the description. So if you guys want to check out her book, or one of her 2 books, and be on the lookout for her 3rd book, her website is down there. If you'd like to know more information about her nonprofit, I think that that's really cool. I think what she's doing with her nonprofit is really incredible. And I believe that there should be more of that in the world. That's the thing, is like, I just want to be a connector as well. So I really relate to what she's trying to do. I want to be a connector of individuals who are trying to do good for themselves and the people around them, right? the guests that we have on the show, if I can help them with my network of individuals, God, let me help you. If you guys need anything from me, as my viewers, reach out. How can I help you? If I can, I'm going to. And I'm not always able to, but dag nabbit, I'm going to give it my best shot. Your boy B says physical interaction these days is becoming is becoming obsolete, like an 8-track tape. Yeah, it is. It really is. But I keep it old school when it comes to stuff like this. I rarely do emails and things like that. I need to get better with that stuff, or just hire somebody, because I know my strong suit. My strong suit is going and shaking a hand. So I keep it old school like that. I'll pick up the phone and call radio stations and tell them what we got going on, and just wearing the cap of a bunch of different jobs within people helping people. But anyways, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't already, hit the thumbs up button. Rich, I see you out there. Hit the thumbs up button for us. Know that March 14th, we have a motorcycle ride, and that is our last shot at raising some money for these kids to go to camp. We are going to be volunteering on the 18th at the Tucson Family Food Project, bringing you guys on the 19th our video of us going and volunteering, showing you guys how you can get involved in the community, highlighting the Tucson Family Food Project. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. We did it. But in any event, you guys, I love you. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Thank you, Julie Barth, and we'll catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Yeah. What's everybody fighting for? Why can't people help people? That's the question.